If your photo is too dark or too bright and you keep moving the exposure back and front without knowing what is happening, then this video is for you. You are welcome to Nice Light Media. If this is your first time coming across our channel, we specialize in photo editing, retouching, and photography, helping creators improve their skills. So in this video, I will be showing you all how exposure works and how to use it, when to use it, and when not to use it. Now, if you check my previous video, which is the last video I posted, I talk about camera raw filter. Under camera raw filter, then we talk about understanding the use of exposure. Yes, where I break exposure down step by step, how to use it and when to use it and when not to use it. So if you haven't watched that video, you can go back and watch that video to understand exposure properly. So today is the practical. We are going to be using Lightroom for this practical so that we can see our image properly. Yes, so that we can see our image properly. If you check my images here, this is one and this is one. And if you check this one do not have too much lighting. Yes, do not have too much lighting, which means every part of this image is dark, just a little reflection on the face. And if you check this one, this one has a lot of highlights. Yes, this one has a lot of highlights. This happened because too much light or little light affects these images. Yes, so before I will do any adjustment on exposure on this image, on this particular image, I will have to first of all check the highlights. Yes, I will first of all check the highlight, the shadow, and the white before I will come back to adjust the exposure so that my image will not lose details. But if I should adjust the exposure first, it's going to affect the details of this image. Yes, it's going to affect the details of this image. For instance, now let's take our exposure forward. Now, let's take it forward to 40 or 30. Now, what do you see? The highlight is too much. The lighting is too much. Yes, if you said, okay, you want to control it with highlight, it's not going to work. Now, you said you want to reduce the shadow, is not going to work. Okay, now you said you want to reduce the white, is not going to work. So this is the reason why you have to first of all work with highlights, shadow, or white to reduce the intensity, the brightness of the image first before you adjust your shadow to make it look proper. Yes, these are the common mistakes some beginners make. Now, and if you said, okay, you want to take the exposure backward, sometimes you might not get the accurate color you want again, because this exposure, this adjustment you have made now, you have overmake those adjustments. So now you will have to come back or start your adjustment. Yes, so for you not to make this kind of mistake, first of all, first thing you have to do is to first adjust the highlights, the shadow, and the white. Yes, to get the actual color of the image before you take the exposure forward a little. Yes, now what we are going to do now, we are going to take the highlights backward a little. Now you see what happened now. Then we are going to take the white backward a little. Now you see. Then the next thing we are going to do, we are just going to take the blacks down a little. Yes. Now, what are we going to take forward a little is the exposure. So we are going to take the exposure forward to bring back the details. Now, we are going to take it forward a little. Now, this is perfect. Yes, this is perfect. the next thing we are going to do is to take the shadow backward a little, and this is okay. Now you see the before. Now, so now you can see the before and after we have already done our adjustment on highlight, shadow, white, and a little exposure. You can see how the image is looking before and after. You see the color is coming up a little. Now what should we do? Now the next thing we are going to do for here, if you want the color to pump a little, then you can change the camera adjustment. Now let's use Adobe Color. Adobe Color do not give us something good. Let's use Adobe Landscape. Now you can see Adobe Landscape. Yes, even though it has a lot of highlight, but you can see then the blue, you can reduce the blue a little. Now what can you see now? The color has already popped out. Yes, you can see the color has already popped out. You can see the before and after. When your image is like this, you make sure your exposure be the last thing you do. Yes, after you have already done your highlight, after you have already reduced the highlight. Yes, you first of all reduce the highlight, the white, before the exposure. Exposure control everything on the image, and when you over adjust the exposure, it affects the intensity, the height, the brightness, and the highlight on the image. Yes, this is the mistake most beginners make. That is why you see some of this image, they are looking flat and washing out. Yes, now you can see how this image is looking, the color has already come out. Yes, so this is how you adjust, the exposure. Now let's come back to this black one. Let's come back to this dark one. If you check this dark one properly, now what are we going to do first? First thing you have to do is to observe it. What should we do first now? The first thing we are going to do is to adjust the exposure. Yes, is to take the exposure forward a little. Now we are going to take the exposure forward. Now let's leave it at 61. We are supposed to use 40, but this image is too dark. That is why we are using 61. And also, when you are making this adjustment, you have to observe properly. You have to observe very well, so that when you are making the adjustment, you won't affect the texture of the image. Now the next thing we are going to do, we don't need to adjust the highlight, because this image is not having highlight. Yes, you don't need to adjust, you don't have issue with highlight on this image. Now the next thing you're supposed to do is to adjust the that is the shadow. You take the shadow forward. Now you see this image is popping out. Now you can see how the image is looking. Then you drop the white a little because of the reflection. Yes, now you are done with the adjustment. You can proceed with your retouching. Yes, if you want to add a little contrast, then you can add a little contrast. In our next topic, we are going to talk about contrast, what contrast do on your image. So today we are only talking about what exposure do, when to adjust exposure and when not to adjust exposure. So you don't need to adjust highlight on this one. Exposure has already done the work of highlights. Exposure have already done the work of highlight, so you don't need to adjust highlight on this one, because this image is dark. Yes, this image is dark. The first thing you need to do is to adjust the exposure. So now you know the difference between the one that has too much highlight, and the one that has lower highlight. This image has lower highlight. Why this image have higher highlight? First thing you need to do on this image is to reduce the highlight, while the other one first thing you need to do is to hide the exposure before you start your adjustment. Yes, so this is how you make your adjustment. So the rule of exposure is that exposure can be adjusted first or last, but when highlight is strong, first protect the highlight before exposure. So you have to know this. You have to know this properly. I hope you have learned something from this video. Don't forget to hit that subscription button, subscribe, and turn on the notification, because we are going to be breaking down how camera raw filter work. Yes, so know that everything we have teach here, you can also use it on your camera raw filter. Yes, so we are just making this explanation here because I want you guys to see the before and after, and to see this other image properly. That is why I am doing this tutorial here on Lightroom, because we have the same setting, the same highlights, everything. You can make the same setting on camera raw. I hope this video will help you understand how exposure work properly. So in our next video, we are going to be talking about what is the use of contrast, how contrast work on your images, how to use contrast. Yes, so don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell for you to receive the next video we are going to drop. And also, if you are a photographer or non-photographer looking for an editor to work with, this is what we do. We are always available and reliable to work with. All you have to do is to send us a DM. Yes, our details is on the description. You send us a DM so that we can collaborate. This is Nice Light Media. See you all in our next session.